So that race was fine. So the Big Machine Spiked Coolers Grand Prix, or the Indy Grand Prix, was today. Well, I guess I say Indy Grand Prix, there's two of them now. So, I don't know. The second Indy Grand Prix, the doubleheader Indy Grand Prix, was today. And it was definitely the worst of the two races out of IndyCar and the Xfinity Series. I think that was expected, and this race went about as expected, and not maybe in terms of results, but just the way the race flowed was a general Indy Grand Prix. The guy who was on pole didn't necessarily win, but it was really done in pit strategy, and the pass for the win was because one guy was on blacks and one guy was on reds, and it wasn't a major on-track battle of any kind. It was just, there was one pass for the lead in the middle of the race, and it was just because tire strategy. And after that, there was passes in the middle, and it wasn't a remarkable race in any facet of the imagination. Yeah, so your winner of the race was Will Power, ahead of Romain Grosjean and Colton Herta. So Romain is second again at Indy, though this was a little less painful of a P2 because it wasn't a P2 that he was P1 until 15 to go. It was P2 where he was lucky to get P2 because he was further back down the field and ended up passing Colton Herta on a restart with about 10 to go, which is another thing to talk about. This race did have restarts, unlike the other Indy Grand Prix in the past where really the only restarts were after lap 1. This race did have a restart. It was because of a blown engine. Alex Palou blew his engine with about 12 laps to go, and everyone just kind of, and I mean, it was a green flag restart, but it wasn't anything amazing. There wasn't anything in turn 1. Well, there wasn't something in turn 1 because Colton Herta, who was second at the time, got passed by Romain Grosjean. That's why Grosjean was third. There wasn't any crash into turn 1, which I guess past the first lap it's what you expect. I mean, this track it's a good track for teams because if you come here and make it past turn 1, you're probably going to be clean the rest of the way, at least in terms of, like, sheet metal. You might end up blowing an engine or something like Palou did, but you generally are not going to get any type of major damage expense leaving Indy, which I guess that's good for team owners, but it's really not that entertaining for the fans. I started to lose interest in this race near the end before the yellows, and then the yellows did eventually come out. By the way, like I had talked about the Palou yellow earlier, couple laps after that restart, Rinus VeeKay got punted by Scott McLaughlin, and then we had another restart that was less eventful than the first restart, because basically nothing happened. It just packed up the field, which was already quite tight. It would have been better if these yellows would have been spread out across the rest of the race, because then you would have had couple of breaks in the middle where we packed up the field again, but that's not how yellows work. That's not how it happened. This race just, I don't know, in general it left a meh type feel, because, I mean, that's kind of how all these races feel. It wasn't, like, terrible. It wasn't, like, notably bad, like, in some ways Nashville was last week. Just, there wasn't any outrageous, stupid things that happened, but it wasn't great at all. It was a general Indy Grand Prix. It was fine. So, like I said, the winner of the way... I've talked about the top 3. So, championship implications. There were some this race, because Scott Dixon had started in the back in 26th place after a penalty for spinning at the end of round 1 of qualifying. He already wouldn't have made it, but he fell down even further down the grid to P26. So he was basically spending his entire race getting back up through the field and got near the top 10 by the end of it. So that's a modest but not great points day for Scott. Talking about your championship points leader, like I said, Alex Palou had an engine failure with about 12 laps to go. So where was Pato? Well, Pato was P5 behind Alexander Rossi, of course, behind the 3 podium finishers. So really good day for Pato. He passes Scott Dixon in the points, and is getting near Palou at this point. Let's go ahead and talk about those championship standings right now. So let's talk some more in depth about the championship standings. So, like I had said earlier, Alex Palou is leading the championship with 415 points. Patricio O'Ward is 21 points back of Palou. That's quite a big gap, but it's definitely smaller than it was at the beginning of the race. Scott Dixon is 34 points back. This was a good race for O'Ward, but he's going to need more of these to have any chance at the end of the season, because still right now it looks like Palou has got the upper hand right now. It's really pretty even gaps between everyone. 21 points between Palou and O'Ward, 13 points between O'Ward and Dixon, 21 points between Dixon and Newgarden, and then numbers 8 between Newgarden and Ericsson. It's decent points gaps between everyone. It basically, at this point, seems like someone is going to need to have a bad race for something to change. Likely people up at the front, and the people, Newgarden, Dixon, O'Ward, just anyone other than Palou is going to have to have a good race when Palou retires. Otherwise, it's probably going to be Palou at the end of the year still. But still a good race for Pato. Looking further down the order, you've got Graham Rahal staying in P6, but hot on his tail is Colton Herta. Was P3 in today's race and is only 1 point behind Graham Rahal. Herta takes P7, gaining 1 spot, passing Simon Pagenaud in 8th, who's now 16 points behind Colton Herta. And looking down for the winner in P9 in the point standings is Will Power, 137 points back of the championship lead. At this point, there is no chance he's going to win the championship. I think that's been the thing for a while, but he is passing some people further behind. Notably, Rinus VK and Takuma Sato were the 2 people he passed up in the championship today. Yeah, so that's about all I've got for your point standings. Let's go ahead and talk about results. So looking down the results sheet, we've already talked about Will Power obviously passing 2 people in the championship and breaking through for his first win of the season. Still is not in any way contending for a overall points championship, but definitely helping him in the championship. And, I mean, helping his relationship with Penske Racing. Obviously getting a win is nothing to be scoffed at. It is his first win of the year, which is quite surprising that at this point he has gone with 0 poles and 0 wins until today. So definitely a breakthrough win for Power. We'll see how this influences him in the last 4 races. Second, Romain Grosjean. Second, again, like I had talked about, this was a good second and not a dang, we lost the lead late second. Third, Colton Herta. Last race definitely should have won at Nashville, but was able to come through for P3 today, so not terrible for Colton. He continues climbing up in the point standings, but seriously, at this point, if everything would have gone right for him, he still would have been way higher. Fourth, Alexander Rossi with another good result after Nashville, where he was 4th. No, he was not 4th. Never mind, he got taken out. I'm just remembering things that aren't right. So 4th for Rossi. Similar to Herta, a good relief from Nashville after having a race that they were in position to do well and then got taken out. So yeah, good for Rossi in P4. O'Ward in P5. P5 isn't great for a person in second in the championship, but also he passes Dixon and gets much closer to Palou, so a good day for O'Ward. 6th, Jack Harvey, and in typical Jack Harvey Indy Grand Prix fashion, did pretty well. 7th, Graham Rahal climbed up from the back again. I swear if Graham could qualify, he would be about 85 billion times better. Started 16th, came up to 7th. 8th, Joseph Newgarden. At this point, he seems to be just stuck with mid-pack results. He's 4th in the championship, and yet it seems like he can't get a good result. It's weird, because it's not the Newgarden we've seen lately. I mean, he won at Mid-Ohio, but other than that, it's just okay results. They're not great. And it's helping him in the championship because everyone else is wrecking and crashing out of races, having engine failures like Palou had. I don't know. Newgarden's situation is interesting. He's finished better than people. He's got a win, but other than that, it's okay. He's not doing insane, he's also not doing terrible. He does gain a couple of points over Marcus Ericsson, who's right behind him in P9. 10th, Takuma Sato. 11th, Connor Daly, better than he did in May. 12th, Christian Lundgaard, who was falling back quite a bit after about the halfway point in the race. So Lundgaard, a bit of a disappointment falling back that far, but still overall a very good, promising weekend for Lundgaard. Definitely made a good impression with the Rahal team, because if he can do this in one race with one testing appearance before that, imagine what he can do with a full season. 13th, Felix Rosenqvist. 14th, Ed Jones. 15th, Bourdais. That's fine. I mean, he's in a Foyt car. He's not gonna get anything amazing. 16th, Simon Pagenaud. Yeah, similar situation to, I mean, just everyone else in the back. Pagenaud's just getting fine results and people are crashing. I think Pagenaud really hasn't been anywhere this season. Yeah. So, next up, 17th, Scott Dixon. It was an okay climb back. 26th to 17th isn't terrible. That's 9 spots, but that's 9 spots in the back. It seems like Scott Dixon, of all people, should have gained a couple more spots. 18th, Hunter Ray, definitely worse than Nashville, but Nashville was a better race for them, but I think they probably could have done better than 18th. Jimmy Johnson, P19. Jimmy is doing great for the moment. He was close to making it into Q2 in qualifying, and now he's 19th in the race. Great job, Jimmy. It's a good performance for Jimmy. I think hopefully this means he's getting better. I don't know. I still just think he would do better in an oval. At an oval, he needs to go and race ovals. That's just what it is. 20th, Chilton. 21st, Elio. Not as good as Nashville. Of course, not as good as the 500, but, he hasn't raced full-time in an IndyCar in a while. He had the current car, he's done the Indy Grand Prix and the Indy 500 in, and those were spread out over a while. I don't expect Elio to do good for at least the next couple of races. 22nd, James Hinchcliffe. Similar to Hunter Ray, falling back from his performance in Nashville, but he just had a bad race. He was struggling to, he had fallen off the lead lap at a point, had gotten the lead lap back. It was probably on pit strategy, but yeah, whatever for Pagenaud. Scott McLaughlin, this race is really overshadowed by the fact that he punted VK with a couple laps left. 24th, speak of the devil, Rinus VK. Got punted by Scott McLaughlin after being in an okay spot in the 8th to 12th range. 25th, Cody Ware. That's fine. Same with Dalton Kellett in 26th. And Palou, really a bad day for Palou. He was running quite well, like in the top 6 or something before falling out of the race with the engine issue. It's not his fault that he didn't do well. It's just what happens. And 28th, in their debut race, Top Gun Racing's RC Enerson. So they ended up only completing, 12 laps. So, yeah, not exactly great for Top Gun Racing, having some type of mechanical failure not too long into the race isn't exactly a great look, but they haven't raced much this year. I didn't expect them to blow the doors off the race or something, or blow the doors off the competition. They're getting adjusted to IndyCar, and I think they're doing okay at it. He had qualified 25th, so he beat Cody Ware, Dalton Kellett, and Scott Dixon. So, if you beat Scott Dixon in qualifying, I'd say that's a success for a team in their first ever IndyCar race. So, that was the Indy Grand Prix 2, Electric Boogaloo. Yeah. So, if I had to give a one-word review of this race, it would be meh. It was a race. It was exciting because, for me, I got to go to a race. That's always fun. Next week is a much more entertaining prospect, that is Gateway. Only the 3rd oval on the entire IndyCar season, which I have my opinions about, but I'll talk about that later. yeah, Gateway. That's hopefully going to go great because, in my opinion, it's the second best race on the schedule. I mean, there's good road course races, but other than the Indy 500, it's one of the best. Texas is ruined now, and that puts Gateway second, and Gateway was probably even second before that, in my opinion, after the reworked Texas. Gateway's the second best race on the season, so I'm really looking forward to that. Next Saturday, I'll have videos about practice and qualifying for that. But yeah, that's about all I have for this video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll be putting out a vlog-style video of this race and the Xfinity race coming out probably Monday. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll talk to y'all then. Bye.